What you are about to hear will blow your mind and give you six-pack abs without even exercising.
Pull up a bar stool and relax.
Hey, who wants to have some fun?
You've made it to Happy Hour with John Gaskins.
Oh, no. Not again.
Get ready for entertaining local and regional sports talk that will change your life. Or not.
And by the way, when you're telling these little stories, here's a good idea. Have a point. It makes it so much more interesting for the listener.
Here's your host, John Gaskins.
Here's Johnny. Hello! Ah!
I'm back, baby! I'm back!
Happy hour on a Wednesday, 2 days away from when so many of us pay attention to soccer for the first time in 4 years. Where's the party, man? That's all you really care about, right? Where's the best place to get together with people who either love soccer or are faking it like you and me? The answer is kRav'N, 69th and Louise, the new official watch party for the American Outlaws Soccer Club. Jackson Rentschler of kRav'N, Clint Krahn of the American Outlaws will join us. It's called World Cup 101 for Dummies. Like you and me, most of you, maybe some of you are diehards, but it'll be a fun way to set the stage for the best place to go watch these games and make a party of it, starting on Friday night at kRav'N, and also a preview. I mean, what's to know if you don't just want to stumble in and watch the game and figure out who Team USA is and who has the ball. Like, who are the main players in this? What kind of a shot does the USA have of winning? What are the expectations? How much has the sport grown? All that stuff. Looking forward to it. We'll go out to kRav'N in just a little bit. The Vikings, more evidence Kyler Murray should be your starting quarterback. He'll be the better starting quarterback. In fact, he could have his best NFL season, and the Vikings offense could pop if and when he wins this battle with J.J. McCarthy. Of all people, Cam Newton gave the best possible illumination on how Kyler Murray can pop with the Vikings. I can't wait to bring that to you. And we have hints from minicamp who's winning the battle, who eventually will win the battle. There's hints. We'll play some bites. Let's start with North Dakota football. It's been a few days now since the nasty headline came down that made it feel like this was SMU death penalty 1986. The headline originally all across the country, even at the Grand Forks Herald, NCAA penalizes UND football for tampering violation. Whoa, tampering, playing dirty, talking to recruits when you shouldn't, when the portal's not open. And then comes the penalties, a $25,000 fine. Well, that's a lot of money to you and me. And it's, for an FCS mid-major type of school like UND, not a lot of big, high-rolling boosters. It's not nothing. Then there's a 1-week ban on recruiting communications. You can get around that. 3% reduction in official paid visits. Not a lot. 3 1-week bans on unofficial visits. Okay, then ban unofficial visits on the weeks where you don't have a home game, so recruits can still go to your home games. The one big one is the 1 week during the transfer portal window when you can't talk to portal recruits. It might hit UND hard, but the headline is much bigger than the actual crime, and the head coach, Eric Schmidt, spoke out on it for the first time, and he did it with the UND-friendly podcast, and we'll get to what he had to say. But I will tell you before you hear the bite, I'm now rooting for UND. Now, as in now, not rooting. I'm now rooting. I'm not rooting for UND to beat the Jacks, beat the Yotes, win the Valley. I'm just saying this is a program worth rooting for because they did something every school should do, and then the details of the quote-unquote crime make it really not seem like a crime. It makes the NCAA look a lot worse than UND. And the Fighting Hawks, whether they were stupid or just noble or both, you have some respect for them for self-reporting their own violation. Okay? And I actually think not only does it make UND more likable, it also, after a couple days, I feel like it's going to help them more than it will hurt them. Or they will get good publicity out of this for reporting their own violation. Everybody loves to hate the NCAA anyway. So, except for this Brendan Sorsby case where the NCAA tried to not let him play, for gambling on the sport, like the number one cardinal sin in sports. But I think enough recruits will, and their parents and whoever, I just think sometimes that whole bad publicity is good publicity thing. This looked like bad publicity. I think it's good publicity now, and it might actually help UND in recruiting, despite the hit it will take with not being able to talk to transfers that first week when the portal opens, which I think you could lose 1 or 2 or 3 difference-making players that way when you are a week behind everybody else in going after those recruits. But they could get a neutralization on the other end for, I think, the goodwill this has sparked, the goodwill, now that a few more days have passed. And I think Eric Schmidt, by coming out and talking about it and explaining it, only made the case more for Schmidt and his program, which was already on the rise, which was already getting higher quality players. And now here's Eric Schmidt, 2-part bite. First of all, explaining just exactly what happened, why UND was hit for a tampering violation. Here's Eric.
He called us and was like, hey, would you be interested in me? I'd like to transfer out of the school that I'm at right now. And Coach Steps had a prior relationship with the kid. So there was a conversation there that led into some text messages and things like that. So number one, I feel like, hey, like it came from the player. You know what I mean? It wasn't like we were running around trying to figure out, trying to grab a guy from somebody else's roster. And then number two, I think, that happens is nobody wants to report anything or anything like that. Like everybody's, trying to cover up and that kind of stuff. Once, Travis took a transcript down to our compliance and they found that, hey, this kid wasn't in the portal yet. Then we self-reported it and said, hey, this kid, we're not recruiting the kid. Travis was doing this all on his own. He was trying to help the kid. Like, he had, like I said, recruited the kid from junior college and said, hey, we don't have room for you, but I can call around and see if there's, some of my colleagues in the business, that kind of stuff, that would maybe be interested in you, and go from there.
Let's review. The player, not UND, reached out. This was a player in California who was probably reaching out to a bunch of schools, but UND did not contact him. Number two, this kid didn't come from a competitor that UND was battling for amongst other FCS schools or D2 schools, or maybe even NDSU like they normally battle. This came from a junior college. And I pointed it out, but I'm going to emphasize it today. Junior college, where most kids play 1 and at the most 2 seasons. They're always looking to leave. The plan is to leave after 1 or 2 years. So they're trying to get ahead during the football season, and they're making the contacts. The quarterback's coach, who was in contact with the player, Travis Steps, said they didn't have a spot for him. So it's not like the coach is trying to get the player to come to UND. He's just responding to a question, which apparently is illegal because the window's not open. But out of the kindness of his heart, Travis Steps tried to help land the kid somewhere else. That's an extra solid. All noble things here. And then UND self-reported it. Another noble thing. The only thing UND did wrong, arguably, was tell the NCAA they screwed up. And the NCAA, nobody else is doing this. We all know everybody's tampering, or almost everybody is tampering. They're talking to kids. Or else, why? How are they getting on planes straight to schools who are seeing them the day the transfer portal window opens in some cases? They're planning on going and checking out and talking to these schools. Really, on the first day it opens? On the same day you're supposed to have your first contact with potential transfer pickups? Huh. So anyway, they're doing what everybody else is doing. A kid reached out to them, didn't come from a competitor, came from JUCO. They all move, and the coach helped them, and they self-reported it. No reasons to dislike UND there or think they're a bunch of dirty scoundrels. Here's the second part where head coach Eric Schmidt puts it all in perspective.
Like, hey, we self-reported it, right? And ultimately, the way I look at it is, hey, like we were going 26 miles an hour in a 25, and all of a sudden, now we're losing our license for an entire year, right? You lose your license that way. And there's the guys that are out there that are speeding and in high speed chases that there's been nothing, as you see all these stories and that kind of stuff, there's nothing that's been done, in college football. So the tampering word to me, like if this headline comes out and says, hey, UND self-reports after a kid calls inquiring if he can transfer there, sounds a lot different than tampering, and that's actually what happened, at the end of the day. So
love it. Going 26 in a 25, everybody else is going 50, 60, 70 in a school zone during school hours. And UND actually, that's my, it's usually 15 in a school zone. They were going like 16, 17. Oops. I looked away from the odometer for a second. Whoopsie daisy. And again, you go back to the Jerry Tarkanian line. The NCAA is mad at Kentucky, so they're going to penalize Cleveland State or put Cleveland State on probation. Cleveland State in this case is UND. And I truly believe, now that we know exactly what happened here, and hopefully this made you understand exactly what happened here, you go back to the headline and you think UND is doomed and they're evil, a tampering violation. And now I go, there's only upside to this. And I hope ultimately, a fellow FCS coach told me that kids and their parents, they're not too concerned about this violation. They're just trying to get scholarships to go to a good school. I do feel like maybe they'll miss out on a player or two that could make a difference for a program that lost 5 games by 5 points or less last year to schools like Montana, North Dakota State, USD, SDSU. But again, maybe this publicity will get kids who hadn't thought of UND because they weren't on a national radar. Well, they were on the national radar for a couple of days. People are talking about it. And for the most part, I think this could help Eric Schmidt and UND. I could be wrong, but I don't think I feel it's going to hurt them even less than I did a couple of days ago. Meanwhile, leave it to Cam Newton to entertain us and illuminate us on the Minnesota Vikings quarterback battle, specifically what Kyler Murray brings to the table if he wins it. Now, by the way, they're in minicamp. Both players spoke. Kevin O'Connell spoke. And you'll hear the latest, in case you missed it, on the fact that they're splitting even reps and how the guys feel about it. And maybe if you actually step back from the situation, the hint on Kyler Murray is probably going to win this quarterback battle. But first, if you, like me, believe he's the guy, 87 starts, 7 seasons in the NFL, mostly for a bad team, has taken his lumps, has learned to process and play quarterback. As Curtis Riggs said, he throws receivers open. We heard Justin Jefferson mention the other day, Kyler Murray knows how to throw it to a receiver to make it easier for the receiver to get it. J.J. McCarthy, as a rookie, terrible at that. He telegraphed receivers, held on to the ball too long. We all know that. Yes, J.J. McCarthy has 10 starts with the Vikings. That's 10 more than Kyler Murray has. And it sounds like he has an advantage, a head start with the locker room. His teammates love him. But for those of you who are skeptical about Kyler Murray, if he wins the job, because, look, he has mostly not been an elite NFL quarterback. He was a number 1 draft pick that many feel hasn't played like one. He's very mistake prone, and he seems a little grumpy and not team-oriented as a leader. I submit to you the fact he played for the Arizona Cardinals, and now he's playing for the Minnesota Vikings. And Sam Darnold certainly proved in 2024 with the Vikings, 25 with the Super Bowl Seahawks. Go from a crappy situation to a pretty good one, and you'll perform better. But Cam Newton says it in such a more colorful and entertaining way than that. So hit it. Cam Newton's podcast.
If I'm Kyler Murray, I'm looking at something that had already been a resort prior to me coming in. I was playing like I was at Red Roof Inn. Say, oh my goodness, it's 4 seasons in there.
Yeah, it is.
I got Justin Jefferson, got Addison, got a defense.
Let me tell you something about that Red Roof Inn. You can't act the same way at Red Roof Inn that you act at the Four Seasons.
No, you can't. This ain't continental breakfast.
Exactly.
The perks is different and the expectation is different too.
So first of all, Cordell, you can tell me yes or no. I guess maybe I should put on a cowboy hat, a Birmingham Black Barons jersey, and we should play some hip hop music, and maybe we'll have more viewers. Should we go that route? You can't. Yeah, I agree. Cordell says I don't think so. We'll stay in our lane over here. So. Red Roof to the Four Seasons. Now, first of all, no doubt the Cardinals were a Red Roof Inn. What was that Kyler Murray was working for? This is a club that had 4 straight losing seasons. And by the way, 3-14 or 4-13 in 3 of those 4 straight losing seasons. The other one, 8-9. The best regular season the man has had, his team has had, 11-6 in 2021. That's 5 years ago. That's ancient history. 1 winning season, 4 seasons of 5 wins or worse for Kyler Murray in Arizona out of 7. So overall, working with a bad team. What does a quarterback need around him to perform well? Well, how about an offensive line? Well, offensive line wise, when you go to Pro Football Focus rankings, he has been mostly working with crap in both overall and in pass blocking PFF ratings. There's only been 2 years where Arizona's offensive line is ranked in the top 12 in the NFL. Mostly it's been ranked in the bottom 12. So he hasn't been protected well, which means, he struggles when he has a heavy pass rush because it happens a lot. Cardinals not been a productive team, especially since Cliff Kingsbury, his first coach, was fired. He's had a defensive-minded head coach, and when you have that, you have inferior offensive coordinators working with you, and the Arizona Cardinals offense and offensive line has been lousy the last 4 years. So is the wide receiving core, which has been bottom 10 in the NFL, according to PFF, the last 4 years. 23rd or worse out of 32. And in fact, pretty much, once again, 5 out of 7 years, Kyler Murray, not just bad offensive lines, bad wide receiving core. Yes, he's had DeAndre Hopkins toward the end of his career, but since 2023, the highest ranking an Arizona Cardinal receiver has been 28, and that'd be their best receiver of their top 3 or 4 every year. So mostly bad O-lines, mostly bad wide receivers. Anybody would struggle in that situation. Fortunately, Kyler Murray checks out to be usually a 10th to 20th rated quarterback in the NFL because he can overcome some of these issues, with his freak video game playmaking. He's a freak when he runs. Sometimes when he scrambles to throw, he can throw darts and lasers and bombs for days. The Hail Murray against the Bills, we've seen him at his best. And when he had a good O-line and a decent defense and a 20th ranked wide receiving core in 2021, the Cardinals made the playoffs. But for the most part, Cam Newton is right. He has been working in a Red Roof Inn. No disrespect, but you're just going to get a bed there and that's it. And you cross your fingers, you don't get bed bugs. Nothing against low budget hotels, but that's where Kyler Murray has been living in. And then Cam Newton says he's going from that Kyler Murray to a Four Seasons, which I don't know if the Vikings are a Four Seasons. They're a top of the line 5-star hotel or even 4-star, but they're definitely much higher end than a Red Roof Inn. I'd put them in a Hilton Garden Inn. It's a full service hotel with a good reputation. It's usually clean. The rooms are usually spacious and cool. They got an all right bar and restaurant in there. Some of them are really snazzy. And in some years, the Vikings have been the top of the line Hilton Garden Inn under Kevin O'Connell. They've had 2 14-win seasons. And in those two 14-win seasons, they had a top 10 scoring offense in the NFL. Not last year, but those two Kevin O'Connell seasons is when he had really good quarterbacks working with him. Kirk Cousins is really good. He's not elite. He's really good. Sam Darnold with the Vikings. I mean, some thought he was an MVP candidate as late as week 16. Got him the job in Seattle. So Kevin O'Connell, good quarterbacks, Vikings offense, close to a 4 seasons. And defensively, they are the 4 seasons. 3rd best total defense in the NFL, 7th in scoring defense last year. There's been some fluctuation on the defensive line. Won't be the same players, but guys like Andrew Van Ginkel, the pride of Rock Valley, Iowa, there's some studs on defense, and they have a stud, if not the stud of NFL defensive coordinators, Brian Flores, calling the shots. So whether it's Red Roof Inn the 4 seasons or Red Roof Inn the Hilton Garden Inn, Kyler Murray's in a much better residency, and chances are he's going to perform better under those conditions with Justin Jefferson, with a top 5 defense, if it is a top 5 defense again, with an upper tier offensive coordinator who is Kevin O'Connell calling the plays and developing the offense. He had none of those conditions for most of his time in Arizona, who, by the way, here's a good way to make Kyler look bad. Be in a division where you have a defensive rookie head coach and the guys, the 6 of your games a year are against Shanahan and Purdy and the Niners. The Seahawks, which all of a sudden got their offensive act together and already had a great defensive roster. And then you add in Sam Darnold, they win the Super Bowl. And then the Rams with Sean McVay, they should be the Super Bowl favorites this year with McVay and Stafford offensively. And then now Myles Garrett joining the pass rush, potentially with an out of retirement, who knows, Aaron Donald. I mean, the Cardinals definitely have been the Red Roof Inn of the NFC West. So I agree with Cam Newton. I do think this sets up well for Kyler Murray. Doesn't mean he's going to light the world on fire, beat Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady, but he's got much better conditions to work with, just like Sam Darnold did the last 2 years with the Vikings and the Seahawks. So that's your latest why I'm on Team Kyler in this whole thing. He gives them a much better chance to win because we saw what J.J. McCarthy did living in the Hilton Garden Inn last year. He was the 4th worst quarterback out of the top 32 in the NFL. He was number 29 with everything there. Yes, he's working. Yes, he can improve. But I think it's Kyler Murray that has the head start here. But what is the situation at this very moment with those two? Kevin O'Connell confirmed that they have been splitting reps, even reps. And Kyler Murray, a guy who was a number 1 draft pick and has been the undisputed top dog in his operation for 7 years, he's not used to it. He probably doesn't like it. And here's what he said about it on Tuesday.
I think the toughest part is, again, I was there for 7 years. I know I had 2 different, offensive systems, but at the same time, you're getting all those reps. Now having to split reps, it's me already being behind, not getting the amount of reps that, you would typically want a guy to get learning an offense. That's probably the toughest part, just, again, going back to the past, being in control of everything, understanding what we were already doing because I was comfortable within the system. Now coming in a new system, learning on the fly, trying to play fast, efficient, and let it loose while learning is that's the toughest part.
Okay, you take that bite, especially if you read the quote, and again, he's got kind of a grumpy tone to him. It makes it sound like he's complaining. What a whiner. He's just being honest. He's not used to splitting reps. He's learning a new offense, and he's not getting as many chances as he'd like to get better at the offense. And if you took those 35 seconds out of context, which I just did, you might translate that as, he's complaining. Oh, he also said this about this splitting reps situation in another 30 seconds or so.
Being uncomfortable for me, I've kind of just went, full head of steam and embraced the part of being uncomfortable. Like I said, I haven't been in this position much, but now being in it, why not make the most of it? Obviously, there's times I'm out there thinking and stuff like that where I wouldn't be thinking usually, but it's part of the process, like I said, and this is the time where, we're all getting better.
Okay, so he is a big boy. He's embracing being uncomfortable. A little adversity, a little competition, a little challenge isn't going to hurt him. It's why he was brought in, to challenge J.J. McCarthy. At the very least, challenge J.J. McCarthy, if not overtaken. Of course, when Kyler and J.J. spoke last week, we heard about J.J. mentioning how these two guys are sitting on the opposite sides of the classroom. Certainly doesn't feel like Kyler Murray is any sort of a mentor helping J.J. out. And when J.J. was asked about splitting reps, he just said, hey, I'm not the one who controls it. But what the bite I found interesting from J.J. on Tuesday was this, off the question from veteran, intrepid Vikings reporter Judd Zolgad of Score North.
Does this continue to feel like a legitimate competition, like you're both vying for the starting job through now?
It feels like the same thing every day. I mean, even last year. I'm just competing with myself to be the best kind of person I am for this team and best kind of quarterback. And at the end of the day, the more we do that, rising tide lifts all ships, and we'll be in a good spot by the end of it.
Notice how JJ did not directly answer the question if he thinks it's a legitimate battle. It's a yes or no question. He wouldn't say yes or no. I am guessing as a guy who is a top 10 draft pick, like Kyler Murray, and thought he was going to be the guy the second he was drafted, and then he wasn't. First he was hurt, and then the Vikings tried to keep Daniel Jones and just couldn't keep him to give JJ a challenge at starting quarterback last year. And they tried to keep Sam Darnold for that matter as well. They tried. They couldn't. And we saw he just got smothered as the undisputed number one without a true challenger certainly with repetitions. And so I don't think J.J. McCarthy likes it. And we need a translator now based off of the fact they are splitting reps, how Kyler and J.J. feel about it. What's happening now? Because this mini camp is over today. Today was the last day. We get into training camp next month in July. That's obviously when everybody hits the ground running. And Tom Pelissero, NFL Network, one of those plugged-in insiders, not just in touch, but a guy who's super in touch with the Vikings because he used to be a Vikings beat reporter back in the day. And so here's how Tom Pelissero believes where this Murray versus McCarthy quarterback battle is headed.
I do not believe that this is a competition that is going to need the entire preseason, 3 games, to sort this thing out. I would say by the end of this week, before the summer break, the coaches are going to have a pretty good idea of what direction you want this to go. I don't believe that this is a world where they're going to divide the reps evenly into training camp because you need time to build that rhythm and timing and tempo that is essential into an NFL passing offense. Whoever is going to be the starting quarterback is going to need more time on task with those wide receivers.
So there you go. Pelissero wouldn't say who's going to get more reps in training camp. But again, look at the resume of Kyler Murray. Consider the tools that he now has. Better offensive line, better wide receivers, much better defense. He's not playing from behind all the time and making desperate plays, which lead to more mistakes. My hunch is I translate all this to be the Vikings went to get Kyler Murray to play Kyler Murray, not just to have a 50-50 reps battle all summer with J.J. McCarthy. Cordell, yes, no? Do you agree with that assumption, that assertion? Too early to tell? You do. Thank you. And now, just to put a bow on all of this, let's go to another one of those respected NFL insiders, Albert Breer, on the Dan Patrick Show. This was last week, taking a 30,000-foot view on Kyler Murray to Minnesota and how the Vikings have been moving the pieces all along.
Last year, the intention was to put competition in the room for J.J. McCarthy. And Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold found better opportunity elsewhere to become the long-term starter. Like DJ knew if he went to Indy, there's a better chance he was going to be the long-term guy there. The same way Sam Darnold knew that if he went to Seattle, there's going to be a better opportunity to be a long-time guy there. So then they pivot and they decide, all right, like we're going to go all in on JJ. He gets all the reps. His teammates are going to know he's the quarterback, and let's see where this goes. And it went where it went. And so now they've created a competitive situation for him in the room again. And like the interesting thing about it is that roster needs to win now. So no one's on scholarship anymore. His draft status doesn't matter. And it's whoever is the best player for us to win right now is who Kevin O'Connell is going to pick. That's going to be Kevin O'Connell's mindset in picking his quarterback now. So it's different than it was last year. They're not worried about the first round investment in the player anymore. In fact, the GM who drafted JJ McCarthy 10th overall is now gone, and there's a new GM coming in. And so it's a really interesting situation because I think most of us would have looked last year at Minnesota and said that could be a 12 or 13 win team.
Yeah.
And like, I don't think very many people are looking at them that way anymore. And what's changed? Well, the quarterback position has changed.
So there you have it. Whether JJ McCarthy's going to get traded or not, we don't know, and we'll see. But the kit gloves are off. There's no more babying the guy. He has to earn it. And it feels like Kevin O'Connell is going to make a decision in this gap between now and training camp. Who's going to get more reps? Chances are it's going to be Kyler Murray, and that would be the right decision.
It's still happy hour with John Gaskins. This round's on me.
It's coming. It's that time of the year where people like me, Cordell, and a lot of people become soccer fans for 5 weeks, every 4 years. It's kind of like the Olympics. The World Cup starts on Friday. All we know for the American team is there's 3 guaranteed games in group play. Friday at 8 o'clock against Paraguay. The next Friday, the 19th, in Seattle against Australia. And then Turkey, whoever's asking you to call it. The Thursday after that, the 25th. And I know I'm not the only one who, when World Cup soccer rolls around, who goes, where's the party? Where is the party? I don't want to watch this at home. I want to watch it with a bunch of other posers like me who are just looking for a good party. That's my favorite part. I'm not going to lie about World Cup soccer.
You're not the only one.
The answer, if you want to talk about official parties, is here at kRav'N, 69th and Louise in Sioux Falls. And here he is, our old friend Jackson Rentschler. Good to see you again.
Welcome. Yeah, it's good to be back. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
And bartending here at kRav'N. And Clint Krahn is the president of the American Outlaws, which is a national organization, right?
American Outlaws Sioux Falls chapter.
Thank you very much.
Go.
Yes.
Don't want to give me too much credit.
Which is, I would guess, in layman's Dummies 101 terms.
So American Outlaws it's basically a grassroots supporters group.
Yeah.
Okay. There are over 200 chapters throughout the country, actually throughout international as well. There's some in Mexico, believe it or not, as well as overseas. Started in Lincoln, I'm going to get the date wrong, 2010, somewhere in there. So been around for quite a while. The Sioux Falls chapter is actually the 42nd chapter.
Yeah.
So pretty cool for, small little Sioux Falls. Yeah. We were, I guess, early in the game, I guess is the big thing. But part of the responsibility or the mission statement for American Outlaws is to grow the game, grow support, and part of that is always having watch parties for the men's games, women's games, whatever's on the schedule.
Yeah, and whenever, especially, Team USA, whenever they're playing, between World Cups, when they're playing in all these worldwide or continent-wide
exactly.
tournaments.
I mean, we host a watch party for everything now.
Everything.
Attendance at a World Cup, kind of like you mentioned the Olympics. There's a heck of a lot of hockey fans during the Olympics, Winter Games.
Yeah.
There's going to be a heck of a lot of soccer fans in the next couple weeks, which is awesome. We want them all to come out. You've never seen a game, no big deal. Come out.
Yeah.
Come for the party, stay for the match.
We're here to do World Cup 101 for Dummies. We'll get into if you're curious, how good is the American team? What are the expectations? Who are the players to watch? What are some of the more dramatic talking points? We'll dig into all that. And so, again, your answer is the new home for these World Cup watch parties is at kRav'N. And you guys have really grown this. I mean, both of you have obviously been around for these watch parties for the last, few World Cups.
Yes.
And, I mean, in 2022, which oddly was in November, I recall Black Friday. I mean, we're talking overflows of people, indoors, outdoors. And paint the picture for us, Jackson, what people can expect when you come to a World Cup watch party at kRav'N.
It's the closest I could describe it is going to a big college football game, the tailgate. You get people, like you said, that have no idea what soccer is, but they want to throw on red, white, and blue, chant USA, and have a couple beers with friends. And just the atmosphere is fun. You don't find it, we've talked about this before, it's the only time, other than the Olympics and stuff like that, where you get 99% of the bar cheering on the exact same team.
Yes.
You don't have the 50-50 split. So it really adds to the excitement of that. The goal, if we score, hopefully we score a lot. When that happens, there's no way to describe it. It's just everyone's cheering, going nuts. And we haven't played since 2014 in the World Cup. So this has been a long time coming.
So what was 2022?
Probably women's.
Oh, that was women's.
And it was back for women's.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, the women they're good. So we have a lot more to cheer for on that. But
I think you just made my point. I forgot men's, women's. It was just Team USA in the World
Yes.
Cup, and there's an overflow crowd at the Giant Sports Bar that you were at for many years.
Yep.
And the camaraderie was off the charts. And I recall, I think there was a Saturday morning match, which we don't have, at least for now. The earliest we're going to have is 2 o'clock for match 2, Friday the 19th against Australia. Are we playing Australia?
Yep.
Yeah. But I mean, there was an 8 a.m. match, 9 a.m., and boy, you had to be there.
I remember we opened the doors, I think, at like 7, and for the first 15 minutes, there's no one, and I was getting a little bit of grief for it, and then next thing you knew, it was wall to wall. It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
We going to have a big video board outside?
We got the big screen coming in the parking lot. We got fire pits, so bring your own lawn chairs. If you want to sit out there, there'll be a section roped off with a beer garden. And then inside, outside, every TV, surround sound will be USA Soccer.
Yeah. Okay. Clint, how every time the World Cup, especially the Men's World Cup, comes around, it's an opportunity to have a conversation about the growth of the game and how important Team USA's success is to the growth of the game. We can get into that. But I don't know if watch parties are a great barometer for the popularity of the sport and if it's growing. But what have you noticed, every World Cup after World Cup or Olympics after Olympics, whenever there's these Team USA watch parties, can you give us an idea of kind of where things were X number of years ago to now?
Well, I mean, I definitely think it grows every World Cup. There's more people that are aware. We'll see little kids in here that, they see the passion, they see the game, they see what's possible, okay? I grew up in Sioux Falls. I played soccer as a kid, okay? Never anything super competitive, but, you played on your Saturday and that was pretty much it. You were done. You had your practice, but it wasn't monster tournaments, okay? And just looking at me in Sioux Falls as a whole, some of the huge tournaments they host here now, okay? More and more kids involved in soccer, I remember growing up, said, I play soccer. Okay, all right, whatever, you play soccer. Now, half the damn city plays soccer, if not more, okay? But yes, the growth is, I don't know if I'd say grassroots, okay? But I mean, it all starts here. We get them to the games, they start seeing what's possible, they start seeing the passion, and I think when they see that, that's a huge, huge booster, like, I want to keep doing this, I want to have more fun, I want to take the next step, I guess is the right way to say it.
Right. And, you and I were both children of the 80s and 90s. Mm-hmm. And back when we were in high school, I can't even tell you, I was in Nebraska. It wasn't on my radar, but I know in South Dakota, it wasn't a sanctioned sport. And that kind of tells you something. When something becomes a sanctioned sport, it's popular
I played
enough.
high school soccer. It was associated with your school, not sanctioned.
Yeah.
And there were some players, that chose to play, and a lot of players chose not to play because they were still playing whatever else. But yeah, it was a long battle. And what year it was sanctioned in South Dakota, I don't know. But I know it was a long uphill battle to finally get it recognized, I guess is the right way.
Yeah.
But yes, it's huge.
Well, and then there's been such a population boom in the city the last 20, 30, 40 years. And obviously a lot of it is coming from the outside. That includes other countries. I mean, when you talk about the world's game, how much have you seen of that as well? As soccer is a chance for people to come together on a field, and then sometimes when this comes around.
Exactly. I mean, we see, just thinking from watch party perspective.
Yeah.
We've definitely seen fans from other countries come here. Okay. And I want to say we had some Ghanaian fans that kept showing up to games. Yeah. They were awesome. They loved watching the games with us. They had the passion. Yes, they're not 100% cheering for Team USA when the game was on and they weren't playing Ghana. They were really excited about USA. Yeah. But flip it around. But they came. They shared the passion. They recognized all right, these guys are soccer fans like we grew up with. They're not just I guess there for the beer or there for the game too.
Yeah. So you're a dyed-in-the-wool soccer fan. You played it from an early age, and you're passionate enough to the point to kind of start a movement in Sioux Falls for people to gather together and watch a bunch of international soccer competition. I'm curious with Jackson, where you've been living in sports bars your whole life. NFL Sundays, March Madness, Thursdays and Fridays. So from your eyes, first of all, your own personal interest level in soccer and how it has grown, and what you've seen throughout the years just from a bar perspective.
Yeah, bar-wise, kind of to piggyback on him, I think 2011 we had watch parties, and we weren't affiliated with American Outlaws at the time, and we probably had 50 people, and that was exciting. A lot of them were casual fans that just wanted to drink beer. And now, on even friendly games, you have 50 people show up with kids and families that come to watch the games, and just seeing the growth of that. And then to kind of piggyback on also, how I know that soccer's kind of a staple now. You walk into Shields now, right when you walk in, World Cup. Yeah. You never, I think the last World Cup, you had to order a jersey online, and you were hoping to get it in time. I think they probably made it when you bought it, but now they have a whole section dedicated to that, and that's, I think, says a lot about the sport and the growth. And then we both coach our kids, and what those girls and boys are doing now on the soccer field compared to when we played, it's a night and day difference.
I was going to ask you about that. What do you mean by that?
We played boom ball. Your fastest player would be up front. the biggest guy would be in the back. He'd kick it as far as you could run. And now these kids at 8 years old are passing and moving, and it's fun to see.
Yeah,
it is.
I did 1 year myself when I was about 5. And I don't think I'm alone. First sport my parents put me in, just run around a little bit, be with a team, and it was chicken to feed, right? There's this one guy ahead of it was a whole pack, and it's kind of like a triangle, and one guy was at the head of it.
Blob.
You had to try to catch up to him. Yeah. And I guess maybe the '94 World Cup, the last time it was in the U.S. First of all, Clint, you could probably speak to what. You're laughing. What? Because you're the old guy.
Yeah, I'm old enough to remember that.
I don't think you're that much older than me. I was like 16, and I hadn't really. I had 1 year of soccer, and parents weren't soccer people. I had cousins in California. That's a whole other deal. It's a big deal out there, obviously. But soccer didn't pop up on my radar again until the '94 World Cup. I was okay. It's in America. They're filling the Rose Bowl, Soldier Field. It's the summer. You got me glued. And so I remember, obviously it was a huge deal then. But American soccer-wise, how much better has Team USA gotten? Is it about the same? Has it gone through some ups and downs?
I would say it's gone some ups and downs.
Yeah.
We had the famous non-qualification year, which was
Jackson's
laughing. Yeah, it still hurts. Yeah. That was bad.
What year was that?
4 years, 5 years ago.
Oh, 4.
18?
Yeah.
Last one.
Yeah. Last one.
Okay.
No, last one. 22 we were in Qatar.
Yeah.
We missed
18.
That. Yeah, 18. Yeah.
18.
Okay.
Yeah, 18 missed. I remember watching the game with everybody, and that one cut deep. That was hurt when they lost the game, did not qualify. Yeah. That was bad. Okay. Don't want to talk about it. Moving on. But yes, no. As far as the game, yes. I mean, the overall talent, I think, of players has gotten far superior from what it used to be. I mean, you've got players on our team now that are playing on some of the biggest clubs in Europe. Okay, they are respected international players. Okay, years and years ago, you mentioned '94. I mean, that was a bunch of scrappy college kids. Really, had two maybe quote unquote professionals on the team, and the rest were like, "Oh, all right, you can play. Let's go." And they strung it together and pulled out some miracle results. And, that is when it really, I guess, bit me, international soccer. Because before, honestly, it was none. You couldn't find it, But when the World Cup was on, watching it, Team USA play, that's when it got me. I was like, oh, my God, I got to watch more of this all the time.
Yeah.
And watch more and more and more and more and more and more. And, well, now we're here.
How would you characterize currently Americans? I mean, we're about to find out through competition, but going into the World Cup, their place in world soccer. Top 10, top 20.
I mean, they're definitely a top 10, 20 squad. They are, I would say on any day, they could beat anybody. Years ago, you're like, no, top 10 teams that, they don't get destroyed. It's a victory.
Yeah.
Right now, they can beat anybody. Will they beat everybody?
Yeah.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
But as far as this team, I mean, they have the ability and I think the capability to really make some noise in this tournament and get some people really, really excited.
All right.
Everybody loves a winner, right?
Let's go into that World Cup 101 for dummies. I mean, we'll start. You've kind of set the tone here. Jackson's got a jersey on, and it would be the best player.
Christian Pulisic.
Pulisic,
yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
I decided to not do much preparation at all for this, just
That's
to
all
play
right.
the dummy.
Yeah.
That is pretty much, I'm guessing, a large portion of the viewing and listening audience.
Yeah.
But I did know he's the guy.
Yeah.
So that's like if you're not just walking into the bar to watch the game and you know who the Americans are and you're just watching the ball around hoping we score. Like if you really want to get a little primer, I guess you start with him, right?
Yeah.
What is captivating about?
I mean, he's from Pennsylvania. He went overseas as a young kid, made a name for himself. He has stretches where he's incredible, one of the best players in the world. He has the ability to be one of the best players in the world. And then he got to coin Captain America. And so, from a media standpoint, that's fantastic. From a soccer, I mean, he just does the dirty work. He's not afraid to get into it. He's brilliant off the ball, on the ball. And I think a lot of kids will finally get to see him live and see what he can do against the world's best and come away and be like, that's what I want to be one day.
Yeah. Has there been as much controversy as it appears around how much he plays leading up to this? Does it matter? Does it matter to you, or should it matter?
I don't think personally it does.
Yeah.
It's those guys they're professional athletes.
Yeah.
They know their bodies better than anyone does. I think it's good talking points. Yeah. But other than that, they'll be ready to go.
Yeah. He's number 10. Who are
Number
the
10.
other studs we expect to come up big?
Weah, Robinson, Richards.
If he's healthy, he's going to be awesome.
We do. We have some talent on paper. On paper, this is probably our best team as far as offensively. Defensively, a little sketchy. I think 38-year-old is our captain, Reem, and he's great. But he's 38. You're going up against 18-year-old kids that can fly. That'll be interesting.
Yeah. Well, you kind of alluded to what I was going to ask next is how exciting of a team is this? Is it a fun style to watch play? Is it more offensive or defensive?
I think we're going to have to score. We're going to have to score to win games because we're going to give up some goals.
Yeah.
So I truly believe that it's going to be, for the general public, fun to watch.
Yeah.
I really do. I think it will be.
Clint, your thoughts?
No, agree with that. The defense, if you read what the pundits say, is probably the weaker spot. We have some offensive talent that, if they're on fire, they can really put some awesome goals in there.
Yeah.
I do like Sergino Dest. Where they're going to put him on the field, I'm not quite sure. That guy is absolute speed out there. He can fly. So he can make some real fun things happen. But, yeah. it's still. I guess we'll talk to me on Friday when I see the lineup.
Sure.
I think be a better opinion on that. But
I mean, people want to see, when it comes to international competition, Team USA, just want to see a win. I mean, you just want to see more goals than the other team, no matter how you do it. But it's soccer. It's a sport that people who don't watch regularly are just. Yep. They don't watch partly because you don't see a lot of scoring, and so you'd like to see the ball on your side a little bit more to keep it interesting, to keep it fun. So.
Yeah, it'll be like Jackson said. We're going to need to put up a bunch of goals, which I think we're capable of doing so.
Yeah.
Defense might be a little suspect on a few spots, but if we score, we're going to do well.
The coach, again, it feels like it's a new guy every World Cup. We've had American coaches. Who is it? Bruce Arenas. He was the guy for a long time. Yep. It's been a long time since he's been it, but I know enough to remember him. And they kept giving him a chance and finally got rid of him. Then they had a German guy for a while, right? Yep. So who's the new guy? What does he bring to the table? What kind of faith is there in him amongst the diehards?
Well, as far as coaches, Pochettino's probably the most well-respected coach we've ever had.
Okay.
I mean, this is a well-renowned international coach. He's coached in the Premier League. For the U.S. to get him was honestly kind of a surprise. When I first started seeing rumors and reports that they're meeting, that's just going to happen, I was like, no way. But he's there. I mean, he's in for the World Cup. Some of the early decisions that were made, some of the roster call-ups, things like that, I'm like, okay. You obviously know what you're doing more than I know what I'm doing. But
yes,
me sitting on the couch is definitely questioning a few things on it.
Well, people have the same things to say about Herb Brooks, right?
Mm-hmm.
For the 1980. Why are you going with these guys over those guys?
Right. And I think that's honestly one thing he's really built. Maybe not some of the best players when he was calling up players, but people that were going to make the best team.
Okay.
And his vision of who it's going to be was there. So there's plenty of times I know I question, like, why'd you call that guy?
So, and it's Mauricio Pochettino.
Yes.
And he's and he was appointed 2 years ago, so he's had a 2-year ramp up to this thing. He's from Argentina, and he is, my goodness, he's coached Tottenham. I mean, I know enough about soccer to know that's pretty good. He's coached in Paris and and he's coached Chelsea. So he's
coached some big boy clubs.
Got some pretty good credentials there. Who, when it comes to the draw that America has, the group. Okay, look, first, again, we're doing 101 for dummies, so let's just, either of you. How does this group thing work? 4 teams, how many groups, and how do you get out of there to advance to more rounds?
So, Soccer 101, this is the first World Cup ever with 48 teams. Okay, so that is different than it's ever been.
Yeah.
Okay, so what that means is a big plus. There is a lot more teams getting out of group play. Top 2 are out for sure. Okay. And then there are 8 third-place teams of all the groups that are going to advance into knockout stages. Don't ask me how to figure that out. You have to be a PhD mathematician to figure that out. But there's going to be a lot of teams moving on that have never moved on before. Okay. So I want to say there's only 4 third-place teams that don't go out. Don't mark that in cement. But you definitely should get out of your group. If you don't get out of your group, you deserve whatever's coming your way.
Okay. According to the odds, the USA is the favorite in this group.
They are.
Not by much, narrowly over Turkey, and then Paraguay is third. If you want to go numbers here, USA is -140, Turkey 175, Paraguay 400, Australia like 800. So, and you play each team in your group, and
it is. And if you're looking down the road, to win the group is huge. You're going to get a third-place team in the knockouts versus if you finish second, you're going to get a first-place team. Okay? A third-place finish, God hope not, you're going to get a first-place team. So get that first-place team, then you're playing a weaker opponent on paper, okay, and set yourself up for the next round after that.
Okay. Who's the big favorite of all the teams? Of all the 48 teams in this thing?
France, Spain,
France,
Argentina,
France,
Portugal,
Spain, Argentina, the usual. And I asked you before we started rolling, how the hell is Italy not in this thing? It's the biggest field ever, and Italy, who's, you'll see, it feels like every other World Cup final, they're not in it.
Yeah, Italy's been snake bit. They've had a bad stretch of not qualifying.
Okay.
Obviously, the competition in Europe is a lot tougher than it is, coming out of CONCACAF, the region the U.S. plays in.
Yeah.
But man, it'd be tough to be an Italy fan. That is for sure.
What should be the expectations for the Americans? It feels like, according to Vegas, they're supposed to at least move on from group play, if not win the group, and therefore have a decent draw as you keep going.
Yeah.
But what would you say is a reasonable expectation, Jackson?
I personally, I don't think we win it by any means. I think, though, if they get out of that group, which I think they can, they're a very dangerous team. Yeah. Just because they know how to play. It's home soil. The crowd gets behind them. They get out. We'll see what happens. And if that happens, it could get really exciting. It's, they say, you brought up Herb Brooks. Anything could happen.
Yeah.
And if they do, it'll be fun. It'd be a lot of fun. I think it'd be great for America and the soccer fans, the little kids watching, myself. I think once they, I don't know, I go back and forth. Friday, about halftime, I'll know how I'm actually feeling about the team.
Yeah.
I go, one day I'm like, we're terrible. And the next day I'm like, oh, we're pretty good. They've been a roller coaster for the last 12 years, so we'll see.
Yeah. What has lately made you think, hey, we got it? And
we beat Senegal. We looked great. We played Germany the other day, and Germany's obviously one of the better teams. And we should have won the game. They had their opportunities. Again, the defense gave up a quick goal and then fumbled at the end, but they looked promising. They looked very well.
Clint, as a guy who has played the sport your whole life, now coaches it, put together a club here in Sioux Falls to watch the game. It comes around every World Cup that the USA plays in. How important is it for the USA to do well to grow the game? Or is there pressure for that to happen? Or should it just be something we'll sit back and enjoy and the game's going to continue to grow?
Well, yes, I think the game is going to continue to grow. The grassroots effort, you're not stopping it. It's going to keep going.
Yeah.
But if the U.S. has a huge run, okay, and they do well in the knockouts, they win one game, 2 games, okay, it's going to blow up. If you think of, the U.S. Olympic hockey, I don't watch any hockey, okay?
Yeah.
When the U.S. was playing in the Olympics in hockey, man, I tell you what, I was watching everything. I was watching at lunch break. I was watching everywhere.
Yeah.
Everyone was excited.
Yeah.
And it's just the fever catches everyone, and everybody, the guys that didn't watch have no idea the World Cup's even going on.
Yeah.
Okay? They skip the opening round, but then they're like, whoa, what's this? I should probably be watching this.
Yeah.
Okay? They'll start showing up. They'll go buy the scarves. They'll go buy the hats.
Yeah.
They'll buy the T-shirts. Be talking about it with their buddies at lunch. Okay, it will be huge.
But will it continue after that? We have seen the growth, of our professional sports, of our professional soccer league here. Get stars on their way down like Beckham and in recent years Messi coming over to play. That's been wonderful. And Sioux Falls, we could bring it back home. We now have a professional ladies soccer team. Yep. That tells it we have one. And it generated some decent buzz. But you have that versus, how many of these people, like me, are just they'll come back in 4 years. Well, and is that okay?
That's fine. That's awesome. If you come every 4 years, wonderful. Okay.
Yeah.
But part of what we do is trying to get those people that came today for the first time.
Yeah.
Okay. They come back, for the friendly that's against, Ecuador.
Yeah.
They start getting more and more and more invested in it. Okay. Start growing the game, loving the game, and I guess it's kind of what American Outlaws is all about.
Sure. Here's just a fun line from Colin Cowherd, who loves to put things into odd perspectives. He just said his prediction is we're gonna go hog wild at places like kRav'N and all over the country with these watch parties whenever Team USA plays. It'll be a fun 5 weeks. And then most of us will disappear and we'll come back in 4 years. And he said, that's okay. Mm-hmm. He said, I was just on a trip to Madrid for a couple of weeks with my son. I loved Madrid. It was great to get out of here. But I wanted to go home. And that's okay, too.
Yeah.
I don't know if that analogy makes sense.
I think it does to the casual fan. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Last one I have is basically what kind of temptation or did either of you have to actually go to some of these games? Because the average price for Team USA games here in America for the first time in 32 years, $1,500 to $2,000 average. And obviously, I don't think either of you are going.
Yeah.
You're going to be
And
here.
It was,
why not just
you
be
know, when
here?
they announced the bid that the U.S. had won the bid, it had been 8 years ago now, something like that. I was pumped. I was like, oh my Lord, I'm going to go to games. I got to go to games. It's going to be awesome. And as it started, getting closer and closer, and they started talking about tickets and whatever, and I started like, oh, this is not good.
Yeah.
And then it came out, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
Like I understand I'm not sitting, field, row one. I was like, get me in the stadium and I'll be happy. But, $1,500, $2,000. I'm like, that's nuts.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm starting to feel that way about a lot of sporting events in general, especially the major college and pro sporting events. Okay, what can I do that's the next best thing? You come here.
Yep.
You get together with a few dozen, maybe a couple hundred other people.
Exactly.
And,
I can buy a lot of chicken wings and have a few beers and spend far less money than
I've got
going
a buddy,
to one game.
and I'm sure. Do you have any friends that are going?
I have a few that are going. Yep, especially to the Kansas City. They're playing at Arrowhead, which is neat. 5-hour drive.
Algeria versus Austria.
Yeah, and then there's a Denmark I think's playing there too. If you're going to that, just to be able to say you experienced a World Cup game, you have to. If you can afford it, make it happen. For those that can't, we'll have the next best experience here.
Apparently, it's $380 for the nosebleeds at Arrowhead.
Speaking of World Cup games in Kansas City, Jackson, you want to give them a little heads up on what we have coming?
This is actually pretty neat. We teamed up with Mick Ultra, kRav'N did, and this Friday, if you come down and Mick Ultra has a kicking game. The high score of that kicking game will get qualify for the following Friday at 2:00. Whoever wins that gets 2 tickets to a game in Kansas City
on the 3rd of July.
On the 3rd of July, which is a knockout game, which is incredible.
Which probably going to be Portugal.
Yeah, Portugal.
Okay.
You get to see, Ronaldo one last time. And then they also pay hotel and I think some fare.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's all from Mick Ultra doing it here.
$1,500 spending money.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the exact date? What's the exact time? One more time.
So if you come here this Friday,
8:00,
you get a chance to qualify. The following Friday, you'll do the exact same thing. I think the top 10 highest point total people will go into a playoff or final deal in front of everyone. Yeah. Whoever wins that wins the tickets and the trip, which will be pretty neat.
Yeah. That's very cool.
Yeah, yep. It was neat of kRav'N and Mick Ultra to do that, and Beal Distributing really put that on for us. Another thing, I've talked to a lot of the people I don't know for the Soccer 101, those first 3 games, they can tie.
Yeah.
There's a tie. So if you're watching and you're like, why is it over? You get 1 point for a draw, 3 points for a win.
How do you guys feel about that? Clint, how do you feel about the ties?
It's fine. That's soccer. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's group play. You can draw.
Yeah.
Once you get the knockouts, no more draws.
Okay.
You got to win.
There it is.
But yeah, it's one of the age-old people saying why I hate soccer, because you can tie.
And the clock goes up to 90. It doesn't go down, it goes up. And then the extra time is for people that are hurt. That's what that's for.
Yeah. So have we left anything on the table, proverbially, here? Anything else people should know when they come to kRav'N?
Get here early. We'll have the big screen for all 3 games. Clint and the American Outlaws will be selling T-shirts. If you don't have gear, you can come here. $20 are neat.
Come here to get your gear.
Yep. Cheer on the red, white, and blue.
Okay. Well, I don't think I'm going to be here Friday because I'll be at the ballpark.
Yep.
But, man, I can't wait for the next Friday, 2:00 against Australia. And, again, Thursday, the 25th, Game 3 of the guaranteed games you're getting against Turkey. That's a 9:00 game, and kRav'N is the spot to be. It's the official American Outlaw watch party of the World Cup. So I appreciate you guys on a busy day.
Yeah, thank you for being here.
Stop by and spread the word.
Always a pleasure, my friend. Thank
Jackson
you.
Rentschler of kRav'N, Clint Krahn, American Outlaws. Anyone can join, right?
Anybody can join. You can sign up on the spot.
Sign up on the spot.
Member, but you don't need to be an official member to show up and watch a game.
No, certainly not. But you can sign up at the party if you'd like.
Absolutely.
You'll make that available for people.
Yep, we'll send you a T-shirt in the mail. You'll get all kinds of swag. It's good stuff. Membership has its privileges,
Okay,
right?
swag and membership has its privileges. For Jackson and Clint, video producer Cordell Wright, and everybody here at kRav'N for making us comfortable and welcome. Happy hour, go USA, and cheers.
Cheers.
Go, fellas.
You need anything else, John?
No, I think I'm good, Greg. I think I'm going to tap out.
All right. Have a good night.